Creationists desperately want to disprove evolution, as it conflicts with their something from nothing creation story. They're infatuated with the topic because A. It distracts from the fact that they have no evidence for their own claim. B. They mistakenly feel that if they can disprove evolution, then it automatically proves their position, and that of course is a false dichotomy. So how best to attack evolution? Well, why not concentrate on something that pro-evolutionists openly admit to not knowing? And that of course is abiogenesis. Now admittedly, abiogenesis was absolutely necessary as a precursor to the subsequent evolution, which is merely the process for speciation once life had started. Thus, it is not surprising why creationists are so desperate to try to place abiogenesis as part of evolution rather than merely its precursor. So, for their benefit, and their benefit alone, I'm forced to present the issue in a cat sat on the mat format, i.e. the kind of format you have to employ with an infant. Apologies to any infant who may be offended by this comparison, by the way. So, are you sitting comfortably, creationists? Then I'll begin. I was in town the other day, that's me in black, and I saw a very famous person, that's him in red, coming round the corner at the end of the street, making his way in my direction. I won't reveal his identity, but he is a very vociferous advocate on morals and believes that sex outside marriage and the ownership of even soft porn should be punishable by a custodial sentence, as should any gay relationship. He is also a very strong advocate against the consumption of meat. He's become very rich by promoting his ideals. I was transfixed, and because I had my camera on me, I instinctively started taking some photos of his journey. Imagine my surprise when he started hovering nervously around the seedy sex shop on the corner. I was even more surprised when he went in, and after some while came out with something in a brown paper bag. He moved rapidly down the street and crossed at the pedestrian lights when safe to do so. His next stop was the baker's. He went in and emerged with a loaf of bread and a pack. He took something out of the pack and started eating it. Outside the baker's was a beggar, who I have come to know quite well, and who had lost both legs in Vietnam. He spoke to the famous man, presumably to ask for a donation, but I could see the man remonstrated and shouted rather angrily. I later learned that he had told the beggar to get off his arse and get a job. He made his way rapidly past the beggar and crossed at the next pedestrian lights when safe to do so. He then used the next set of lights to cross the road and entered into the bookshop. After a while he emerged with the book. Eventually he drew level with me, whereupon I asked him for his autograph. He duly obliged and signed. I also asked him if he would be okay if we had our picture taken together. He was more than happy, so I asked a passing young lady if she would take our picture. I handed her my camera and she took the picture, handed my camera back before moving on. What I did notice though, that the brown bag he had got from the sex shop had slipped down a bit, and I could just make out a DVD with the title of Bored House Husbands Like It Hard. I also noticed the pack from the baker's contained meat pies, and the book that he had bought was titled The Naked Male Body in Art. Anyhow, I had pictures of his complete journey, albeit it was not easy to identify with him with the more distant ones, but the last one taken by the young lady stopped me in my tracks, as it had quite clearly shown the nature of the products that he had purchased. I couldn't wait to tell someone. The first person that I bumped into was a chap called Creotard, who is a cousin to a very good friend of mine, Leotard. I guess that's stretching it a bit. So I told him what happened. Imagine my shock and awe when Creotard said he didn't believe a word of it. I was taken aback and asked him why he should doubt me. He replied that I did not know how the man's journey started, as I only saw him come round the corner. Therefore my eyewitness report of his journey after he rounded the corner was totally invalid, despite my photographic evidence. I did indeed admit that I didn't know how the journey started. I did know of 3 doors around the corner, i.e. the blue, yellow and green doors, any of which he could have come out of, and of course he could have just walked across the blind alley before I had noticed him. I just don't know. However, I tried to explain that not knowing what he did prior to coming round the corner cannot possibly disprove what I saw after he rounded the corner. But for some reason Creotard had now stuck his fingers in his ears and was shouting la 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 la. What can you do with such people? Okay, I won't reveal the name of the famous person, but I will identify the street names. The street round the corner? Abiogenesis Alley. And the street which I was in and watched him walk down? Evolution Street, of course. Oh, and for all you techno buffs, my camera is the 20 megapixel 10 optical zoom Fidu fossil snapper. So, those of you from the creationist camp, do you get it now? What part of that do you not understand? Sorry chaps, I can't honestly think of putting it any simpler for you. As a footnote, Creotard also gave me some other reasons why he fully rejects every detail of my account of the famous man walking towards me. A. I didn't know all of the other DVD titles in the sex shop. B. I didn't know whether he had stolen or bought the bread from the baker's. C. I didn't know how many slices were in the loaf of bread. D. I don't know if the man walked on his hands once out of sight in the bookshop. E. I don't know if the clock in the bookshop was exactly correct. F. I didn't know the name of the people who had served him in the 3 shops. And G. I didn't know how many cars were parked in the side streets, nor did I know their colours. Because I couldn't answer these questions, Creotard claims this is additional proof and evidence of why he won't believe anything of what I have witnessed, even though I showed him the autograph and the photos, all date time-stamped. I can't begin to tell you the tripe that Creotard believes in, but isn't it ironic how a man whose belief is one massive gaping hole of missing proof and evidence can criticise something at a trivial and minuscule level, thereby missing the bigger picture?